Hi guys, this is your girl Chi Chi on Get the Tea with the Chi, and I'm coming at you today to do a video about, well, a recap about Catfish. Hmm. I've just watched the first two episodes of the second season, so we're in the second season. We're already on episode 2. So this is going to be a recap of episode 1 and episode 2. Now, for those of you that don't know, Catfish is a show about, which started out with the person that actually is the star of the show, Neve. He fell in love with someone online and found out that someone was playing, a trick on him. Basically, the lady kind of fell in love with him, and she was using pictures of her daughter to live vicariously through her daughter, trying to gain the affection of Neve. And that's how the story began. So Neve and his cameraman Max, they just fly around the country and try to help people in the same predicament, where they meet people online and find out that they're being lied to, being tricked by, a lot of, I would say, insecure people, sometimes insane people, sometimes just outright selfish people. So the first episode was about a girl named Cassie. She was an African American female that fell in love with a gentleman by the name of Steve. So she thought his name was Steve. And first off, she was living, a real reckless life because her grandfather passed away. Well, her grandmother passed away, then her father passed away. And so she just went downhill. She's a college student and just didn't care about life anymore. So she started drinking and having promiscuous sex. And her best friend, Gladys, who she's known since they were like in preschool, pretty much that's who she leaned on most of the time for comfort. But she had even withdrawn herself from her best friend. So to be honest with you, while I was watching it, it made me feel like it was the best friend. But, just watching the show, and so what struck me as weird is that Cassie had actually proposed to the guy over the internet. Now, it was weird to me because how can you propose to someone you've never met? I understand when people say love at first sight. I've had that happen to me, where I saw a young man this was when I was in high school. I was like in ninth grade. I fell in love with someone, but I didn't date him till like my senior year in high school. But I fell in love with him based on the way that he carried himself and his intellect, things of that nature. But I actually saw this young man, and but these people don't actually see each other. They, some kind of way, find someone online and start talking to somebody based on a picture that they see on the internet and start telling these people their damn business. And then at the end of the day, they find out that all the secrets they've been sharing, the emotions, the sexting, all the stuff that they do, it's a joke. To me, I mean, it's a joke. If I'm talking to you and you're telling me you're Sidney Poitier and you turn out to be Beavis and Butthead, I mean, this, that's just crazy. So she's so in love with this guy, she wants to marry him. So she gets in touch with Neve and Max because she wants to make sure that he's the real deal, so she can seal the deal, so to speak. So, of course, it takes Neve and Max no time to find out who the guy really is. They just use the simple old Google and search pictures on the internet like anybody can do that really wants to know what's going on. And they found him. So it turns out that Steve is actually Tony. And Tony is Gladys's best friend. Now remember, Gladys is Cassie's best friend. So Tony is Gladys's cousin. Tony's pretending to be Steve. So they go over to the girl's house and once they find out who it is, and Cassie's all upset and she's like, oh, y'all are taking me as a joke. What's going on? And it seemed like to me that she was kind of fishing to see if Tony was really interested in her. But it was kind of like he was doing it because they were trying to stop her from her reckless behavior. So that turned out that Gladys was really trying to save Cassie from herself because she saw her going down this reckless path, her not doing well in college, her having sex, might wind up pregnant or with a disease, and just being reckless. So it turns out, that. So basically, it ends with Cassie saying that she and Gladys will be friends, but not the way that they used to be. Now, the second episode is what got me. We have an African American male who was homosexual, and he was in the military, and he was discharged with a Purple Heart, a medical discharge. Okay, and so, upstanding citizen for our country. So he basically had fallen in love with a gentleman. I'm looking at notes here by the name of he thought his name was Josh. Okay, so I'm sorry, he thought he had fallen in love with Mark, but Mark turns out to be a gentleman by the name of Josh. Okay, it's all mixed up. Let me tell you about it. So what happens is, the young man, his name is Anthony. Anthony is so, I guess, so upset because he feels like something's wrong because he himself took the picture of Mark and looked it up on Google and saw that it led to a profile of someone by the name of Josh. Okay, and Josh has like 13,000 followers on Facebook and stuff, and so he's worried that, okay, this guy isn't telling me the truth. And he has someone, an old friend of me, that he saw in a picture with Josh. So he asked him, how do you know this guy? And he said, oh, that's Josh. So he's like, okay, look, I've been sharing all my intimate secrets, details, my life with this man. I'm in love with this man. And he's sitting up here, playing games with me. I need to know what's going on. So instantly I'm thinking, oh, it's a girl doing this, or it's somebody, that he knows that's doing this to him. So what happens is, Neve, so Neve and Max come down and they're looking at everything, and of course they do the same investigating, find the same pictures as he, and Neve is brave. Neve gets on Facebook and sends the guy a message, Josh a message, and he gives Josh his phone number immediately, just like that. Josh calls him on the phone. And so he said, oh, is this about Catfish? And he was like, yeah. He said, okay, I'm familiar with your show. And are you calling me because somebody's pretending to be me? And he was like, yeah. He said, well, I get this all the time. People are always pretending to be me. So he said, well, can you do Skype with me? So the guy, Josh, actually Skyped with Neve and Max and pretty much let it be known that he doesn't even know Anthony and that he's never talked to him or what have you, and that he's sorry that this happened. So Neve asked him, could you please just address us, like let me record you saying these things, that you don't know him, you've never talked to him, and it's not you. So Josh, being the gentleman that he was, he went ahead and he apologized to Anthony on a videotaped Skype and basically let him know, hey, it's not me doing this, and I hope you find the love that you're looking for, what have you. So at that point, I'm like, oh Lord, because Anthony is like 38 hot. He's 38 hot. He's like fuming. So later on, Neve and Max do a little bit more digging, and they find that the person, they went through a whole bunch of other little stuff because I'm not mechanically inclined, so I wouldn't be able to find this information unless somebody showed me because I'm not that savvy with a computer. But Neve, they find him, and this is a young man by the name of Fermel. And Fermel, honey, he's an African American as well. He's a super queen, and you know, he's just he's not that attractive of a young man. He has a tooth missing here in the front, and he's just not attractive. And so they find him with some video that only 3 people had viewed, and saying that he loves himself and all this crap. So Neve and Max go back to Anthony and they tell him what happened, and they show him the video of Josh saying, hey, it's not me, I'm not Mark, I am Josh, and it's not me doing this to you. Then they let him know that it's a young man by the name of Fermel. And Anthony's like tears in his eyes, and just want to know, let's go see this guy. Who the hell is this? So they drive to Mississippi and they go and they visit Fermel. And so Fermel comes out, and you can kind of like see the hurt and the disgust on Anthony's face, because he fell in love with this young man. Now Josh was a very nice looking young guy, light skinned, just kind of like looks better than Chris Brown, but almost like Chris Brown. So when he sees this young man over here, I can't even describe him, looking a hot mess, sorry, he just didn't even want to look at the guy. I mean, he just didn't want to do eye contact, nothing. And so the gentleman's telling him, Fermel's like, yeah, I'm Fermel, and it was me, and he's apologizing. I'm sorry for doing this to you, but I love you. I'm in love with you, and I'm sorry, but I love you. So he didn't want to hear it. Anthony didn't want to hear it, so they left. So of course, Neve does his magic and gets Anthony to go back the following day. Now when they go back, Fermel lets them inside, and he has 2 of his friends sitting there, 2 girlfriends sitting there, and 2 girls that have known him for years and know him very well. Well, they're telling Fermel, tell the truth, tell him who you are, tell him the truth. So Fermel's sitting there saying, well, I loved you, and I know the picture wasn't me, but I love you, and I would never dream of hurting you. But Anthony just goes off. He's like, I'm like a fucking joke to you, and you playing with my feelings. I've told you intimate details about my life, and you sitting up here playing games, and you're not owning up to your shit. And I'm like, woo. So he said, even though I'm in your house, I knocked your block off, and I was like, woo. I thought I was gonna see some action that day. Well, anyway, he just says, you know what? So then Fermel says, well, don't be raising your voice at my house. Don't be raising your damn voice. And I told you I was sorry. And he's just going off, and he was like, so why are you hurt? Why are you hurt? Why are you here then? So, so Anthony said, you know what? I forgive you. Bye. He walks out the door. So Neve, being who he is, he goes outside, he calms them down once more, and so he brings them back in, and Anthony then apologizes for raising his voice in Fermel's mother's home and for getting out of line. But he's like, but still, you played with my emotions. I've told you all these intimate details about me. You led me to believe you were another person that you're not. So I look like a joke to my friends, my family. I look like a joke to my mother effing self, is what he said. I didn't say the curse word, but he was like, well, I'm sorry. I know nothing can console you. So at this point, Anthony's crying, and I'm like, Lord. So at the end it ended with that he apologized. Anthony apologized, and Fermel apologized to him, and they apologized to one another. Then Neve takes a group picture of everybody, because at that point, Anthony had forgiven him, but you could see that he was devastated. He was hurt. And so he went on, and they did like a 2-month recap where Anthony's saying he's putting his love life on hold. He's not trying to look for love anymore. He's just trying to go on with his future. But then they show Fermel's ass. And I'm in a relationship. 2 months later. Now, if you really were deeply in love with this person, as you say, even though you were playing a game, how do you find somebody in 2 months? I mean, to me, if you say you're really in love with somebody, 2 months is not enough time for you to me. I mean, that's just to me. I mean, I know people move on, but a part of moving on is maturing in that respect as well. And rushing into another relationship or a rebound relationship or whatever it may be, that's not maturing, and that's not, I don't know. Well, and I honestly believe that whoever it was probably knew he was going to be on Catfish and decided to date his ugly behind. But I was really upset with him, because I look at it this way. You should never try to trick somebody into being in a relationship with you. And I know people do stupid shit like that all the time. They're always like lying and playing games on to people. You shouldn't do that. Be genuine. Be upfront. Be honest. Hey, I like you. Bottom line, send a picture of yourself. But you know what? I blame it on the people who are being catfished as well, because How can you fall in love with somebody that you never met? That you don't even know if it's the person or not. I don't understand that. It's just like you're on the phone, you're talking to somebody all the time, you've never seen them, a picture of them or anything, you fall in love with their voice. Okay, I mean, Barry White had a nice voice, but I wouldn't want to date him. I mean, I'm sorry, he's passed away. I'm so sorry, Mr. White, but I'm just saying, he had a nice voice, but I wouldn't have dated him. So I don't understand. People are proposing to people and they haven't talked to them. So you got to look at the signs, people. Please look at the signs. If you meet somebody online and they won't Skype with you and they keep telling you that their Skype is broken, guess what? You're being catfished. If the volume don't work so you can't hear their voice, you're being catfished. If they sent you a picture, only 4 pictures of themselves, and they claim they don't have any other pictures, you're being catfished. If you've asked to meet with this person on several occasions and it's been a year and you haven't met with this person in person, you're being catfished. I mean, and don't tell people your personal business that you don't know. If I hadn't had the opportunity to sit down and talk with you face to face or even on Skype or anything, why am I talking to you? Why? Why? So I don't understand how people put themselves in situations. People make stupid decisions and mistakes themselves. I wouldn't be talking to somebody on the computer anyway. As far as like in a loving relationship, I wouldn't do that. That to me, you're setting yourself up for failure already because you're on the internet talking to people that you don't know about intimate details about your entire life. If I share a story with you about, okay, this happened to me, I did this, I did that, that's one thing. But if I'm telling you I had sex 3 weeks ago, sex tomorrow, I did this, I did that, and such, I'm setting myself up for the okie doke. So I just think that people should, rely on good old fashioned face to face conversations when you consider yourself in a relationship. Even like I said, even if it's Skype, if you know that's you're talking to the person, so you can physically see it's a person. I mean, I would do that. I wouldn't talk to somebody I don't know in a loving nature or a loving manner. That's ludicrous to me. So I blame people themselves. Well, anyway, I want to thank Neve though because he's doing a great service for people. For those people who do feel the only way they can find true love is through the internet, go figure. Then, I mean, I'm happy that there's somebody out there policing these people and making people be accountable for the lies and the trickery and the ignorance that they're doing and they're portraying. And I'm just glad he's putting a stop to that. Well, anyway, that's my recap of season two's episode 1 and 2 of Catfish. I'll be back next week with another recap. All right, guys, have a